Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Cravets is a highly sought-after business development expert and international speaker. Groomed in Silicon Valley, she teaches business entrepreneurs how to attract more high-end clients so they can significantly grow their business without working nights and weekends. Using her methods, the majority of her clients quickly increase their income from 50 to upwards to 100%. With equal measures of structure and humor, she provides highly interactive workshop-style presentations that show participants how to get out of marketing overwhelm, so they're not just inspired, but actually equipped to grow their business with simple, customized strategies that they can implement immediately.
Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Hey everybody, this is Emmett on the Billionaire Lifestyle. I told you who the guest is. She's hot, she's beautiful, she's smart, and she's engaging. Wow. Da 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 da. Help me to welcome Mary Cravets. How are you?
I am great. I was so excited to be on this show, and I'm glad we got it all together at the right time, the right place. And
that came
and you
quick.
Look fabulous. Your background, awesome.
Right? I'm hiding myself.
We problem solved. It was awesome.
You know, I may need your help in the future. But we'll talk.
What I do?
We'll talk after the show. We might have some things we can work out together right there. So you help entrepreneurs get their salt about themselves without driving themselves crazy, because, you know, a lot of times entrepreneurs have day jobs, and I'm from Detroit. We call it hustle mode. They get off their job and they go into hustle mode, and they do that till they can't do it anymore. And they struggle with it. And a lot of times people are like, I need to just give this up. I can just go work a day job. It's not worth it. So how did you become to being an entrepreneur? But before we get to that, I want to go back a ways. Let's go back to when you were a teenager, like 5 years ago. And and what was driving you then?
Well, gosh, when I was a teenager, it was boys. I mean, I was typical teenager, so I don't have anything deep and profound. But one thing that was very common through my life is I always wanted to save the world. I was the weird kid in class who would raise their hand and say, yes, I want to recycle, I want to conserve. And so just the way that I'm deciding to help save the world or improve the world or create peace on earth is just so much different than I pictured it when I was a kid. Because as a kid and as a teenager and in my 20s, I thought the only way to impact the world and save the world is through being an environmentalist, working for a homeless shelter, or saving orphans or battered women, like all of these charity type of endeavors. And while those are all totally worthwhile, it wasn't something that I could sustain. And that's not where my true talents lied.
Were you thinking about being an entrepreneur then, or were you in the mindset like, when I graduate school, I got to go to college or I got to get a job because I need to sustain myself and I want to buy some things?
You know, my husband and I were just talking about this the other day. We both came from families where the path was high school, college, job for as long as you possibly can, and then retire. So we had no framework for this idea of entrepreneurship. Our families both think we're complete freaks, which is fine. But no, I didn't have the intention of being an entrepreneur ever. And when my husband and I were talking the other day, it's like we woke up to entrepreneurship. It's like we were asleep to goal setting or to personal development. It's just like you just did your thing. We were kind of asleep.
Asleep?
That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah, kind of just asleep to determining our own destiny.
What was the wake-up moment? What was the thing that just triggered you and you were like, It's a wrap. I'm done with that old vision. This is the new me.
Well, that happened kind of accidentally. So my husband and I we were living in Silicon Valley, and it was in California, and it's the San Francisco Bay Area. It's just insane.
I know.
It's just so crazy. Yeah, you know.
I have an office. I have an office in South San Francisco, so I know.
Yeah, it's just nuts. Living there is. Anyway, we said we've got to get out of here before we start believing this crazy is normal. So we moved from there to Sedona, Arizona, and I was applying for jobs. I know it's beautiful there. We lived there for quite some time, and I was applying for jobs. And one of the jobs I applied for was a real estate assistant. And they said, "Hey, if you get this job, you're going to have your real estate license." And I was like, "Cool, I can do that. I'm good at school." So I said, "Honey," I hadn't even gotten the job. "Honey, I'm going to go to real estate school," and did it in 2 weeks. And I got back. I got halfway through the schooling, and I said, "You know what? I think I can do this." I said, if I take that job, I'm never going to try it. So he supported me, said, okay. And I hung out my shingle. And then I found out that being a real estate agent meant you had to find clients. Because I swear to you, Emmett, this is what I believe. I thought people were going to come through the office and buy houses like they bought hamburgers at McDonald's.
That's how most people think of business.
Yeah. Yeah. I am just like everybody else. I am not special. So that was, I don't know if I really woke up, but I certainly had a rude awakening.
So that was your formal, awakening, your envoy into who you are now. What were the realizations, the startling realizations that you began to hit? First of all, you knew the customers aren't going to come to you. You had to go grab them. And even if you had the materials that they needed, you still had to convince them that you were the right person to handle whatever item that they were looking for. So what was that like?
Well, I was very fortunate that I ended up in an office where personal development and coaching was really valued and actually encouraged, almost required. So I was instructed that I had to go to a seminar in Phoenix, a couple hours away from where I was living. And they told me that they said, you got to go see this guy. He's doing a presentation on referral generation. And I was like, great. A dude in a suit is going to tell me I got to be just like him. So I brought a book to read. I'm not kidding. I was just like, no. And one of the first things he said is the fastest way to failure is conformity. Oh, yeah. And that's truly when my life changed, because I was like, I'm in something completely different than I thought. Yeah.
So you had a light bulb moment.
Time. Like nothing ever before.
So I know during this process, you probably made a lot of mistakes. So what was your biggest mistake that you learned from?
You know what? I think one of my biggest mistakes, I just got put in my face recently, within the last month. And that is, it brings to bear this statistic. So it turns out that men will apply for jobs that they are 60% qualified for. They'll just go after it. They don't care. Okay. Women will not apply for things unless they're 110% qualified. Recently, a competition is being held. I'm actually right in the middle of it. I don't know if I've gotten one of the places yet, but there was a competition for a year-long mentorship with Maria Sharapova's entrepreneur team. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to apply. I looked at the requirements, and I said, yeah, I don't really qualify. And my friend, thank God I have good friends who call me on my shit. And she said, Mary, she said, she pulled out the statistics that I know. She says 60%, 110% apply. And so I did. And truly, if I were to go back to the beginning and just apply for things that I'm 60% qualified for, my life would be completely different. I would have achieved so much more. Wow.
You never really think of it that way. And I'll just give you for instance, if you look at job postings, and I always say this, well, for the job title that you're looking for, the best person is the person that just left because no one fits all those qualifications. And and it's just amazing to me what people will tolerate and what they will ask for, but then what they will eventually say, you'll do.
Yep. And from the position of the person applying, when you look at a position, are you capable of doing that job even if you don't have the skills right now? And this is particularly for women. Like, how can you stretch yourself? Because I can look at here's what I'm finding myself. I'll see a conference that I'm applying to speak to or something out there. I'll go, you know what? In like a year or two, I'll be able to do that. And now I'm applying now instead of waiting. Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing that can happen is A, you're going to embarrass yourself, but you're going to learn something. B, they just say no. C, you'll be the bomb. You'll be just like the best thing ever, and everything's
And
beautiful.
I will be way more excited than someone who's done this 100 times too, because I'll be like, oh my God, this stage, woohoo!
I understand that. I'm the same way. So how did you come to where you are teaching this business development to entrepreneurs? You know, you've gathered this information. Like I said, it was 5 years ago when you got into this, and I'm being facetious, people. It was
I'm like, really? I must have given you the wrong bio.
No. You know, but so how did you come to the space where you said, I can teach this to people, or I can show you the way I've discovered, I've made enough mistakes, I've made the corrections, and I've had some success. So I can model this for specific individuals or for a select few people who qualify for my type of style. So how did you come to that?
Well, it's kind of a convoluted journey. It
That's
definitely
life.
wasn't like, okay, I went, so real estate, I got bored with that. I mean, I did well with it. I made money. It was great. I went to some direct sales, made money. I was a leader. That was great. Got bored with it. And then we hit economic times that were really, really tough. And I said, what can I do? And I said, I got these administrative skills. I'll just start doing admin, like virtual assistant work. And so people would hire me and I'd say, okay, tell me about your business and tell me about what you'd like me to do and your goals from it. So they lay it all out and I go, you know what? If you want this result and you want me to do this, you actually need to do these 3 other things beforehand. And they would, in a manner of speaking, say, shut up, you're the assistant, do what I asked of you. And I was fine. I was like, well, heck, it's their business. They must know what they're talking about, right? And time again, I was right. And about a year and a half, almost 2 years went by, and I was horribly depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens when you start to discover that you have this innate talent for something, this knowing, this ability, and you're selling yourself short time and time again. So luckily I went to a networking meeting. It had a speaker who I'm forever grateful for. Another one of those turning point moments. In the middle of his talk, he said, a major source of unhappiness in the world is people settling for what's passable instead of reaching for what's possible.
Ooh, that's deep.
Right?
That's
oh my
deep.
God, chills.
That's like 7 shovels deep.
No. And from there, in my mind, in that moment, I shut down my business. Within the next couple of months, I transferred out all my clients, and then I started doing the business development work. And from there, it was really like listening to people, finding out what they need, and trusting myself, and then making many more mistakes.
Well, that's what learning is. I mean, learning is making mistakes. Yep,
absolutely. And the systems and processes that came out of this, all of my work is based on today, came though from a completely different experience. A couple of years down the road from there, I burned out. I was trying everything, running in every direction, and I got diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I had like 4 hours of energy a week. my bills had to be paid. And so I just kind of cobbled together, how do I keep my business going? And what happened was, with 4 hours of energy a week, I narrowed it down to what absolutely had to get done. And during that period, while I was recovering, my business actually grew. And then it's evolved, the whole system I put together, it's evolved into like an actual client generation system. But it's not, Emmett, you do it my way, and Susie, you do it my way, and Jennifer, you do it my way. It's a framework.
Yeah.
So you bring all your brilliance, and I tell you to fill in the blanks, basically, and then you're off and running. It's, again, not conformity, not cookie cutter, but it's helped clients worldwide. It's the foundation of everything I do.
So when did you begin this endeavor?
When did I begin this business?
Yes.
Just over 7 years ago.
You were coming out of that 2008 thing and then going into this period that we're in now. And I see your website, and I'm looking at it now. I'm looking right here. So can you explain to me a couple of things here? So the first thing that you see when you go to your website, you have these cool little modules that immediately capture your eye, which is the accelerator, on-demand programs, one-on-one programs, and free and almost free resources. That's awesome.
Nice, right?
So when I saw the accelerator, it reminded me of Silicon Valley.
Oh,
Like accelerator, incubator, that kind of thing. How did you come up? How did you come up with these programs for people to gravitate towards and to buy into?
Well, again, it's been a lot of trial and error. It's seeing what people need. It's getting that balance between what people think they need and what I know will actually help them.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
The accelerator is a pairing of the content, like the framework that I talk about of how to generate clients, how to develop your messaging, how to manage your time and understand how to sell, and all of those real essential pieces. It's taking that and pairing that with weekly mentorship, because when you start applying the essential elements of client generation, your business picks up.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, when someone starts with a program, they know how to deal with the business they have. Well, as quickly as possible, we get them into a place where they don't know how to deal with it anymore, because now they've got more clients. People are asking for exceptions. They're thinking about raising their prices. I mean, there's all these things happening. And so having that weekly mentorship where the tweaks can happen quickly, that's how people accelerate. And that's just what I think of. If you really want to move, we've got to be partners. We've got to move together.
That's a good problem to have, the ones you're describing, by the way, too.
Oh, I love it. I got off a call today and I was like doing the happy dance. People were like, whoop, got another client.
You know what I like about your website? This is the one thing that made me go, she knows what she's doing. You have a link that says, start here. Most websites, you have to figure, let me go to the about page and let me see what their blog's talking about. But you say, start here. And there's only a few websites that I've seen that are information particularly that do that. And that's done very well. So I commend you on that one, because that's the first place I went to. I said, start here. Okay. And I clicked it.
Well, I'm lucky. I have teams of people who are experts at their stuff. I'm not a website expert, but my web designer is, and we've also been friends and colleagues and clients of each other for a long time. So she knows her stuff. So
yes,
Rachel Vane,
kudos to her.
She's awesome.
Kudos to her.
She's awesome.
So, do you have any workshops that you're going to do in person, or is most of your constituency, are they Zoom interactions or are they live interactions? And is it just the United States, or is it all over?
It's mostly the United States, and it's mostly via Zoom or a phone call. That's how my clients, I work with my clients. I love doing live events. I mean, I love speaking. I feel so alive when I'm connecting with an audience and I see the light bulbs go on and I can move and with the audience and what they need in the moment. It's like pretty much hands down my favorite thing to do of anything.
Yeah.
However, I don't like arranging live events because it is such a time suck. And I'd rather apply and get paid to speak somewhere else. Someone else gets together the audience and I just bring a ton of value and a really engaging experience. That's just one of those things I've learned. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I want to do a live event. I'm like, be prepared to spend 20 hours a week finding your audience, building your audience, getting people to come to your event, or hire someone. Either way is fine, but it's not the event. It's not the content. It's the getting the audience there. I'd rather borrow other people's audiences.
Yeah. That is one of the biggest things. And I had to learn that when I started this is now your audience is my audience and my audience is your audience, which is it's a really simple ideology, but most people don't get it until they're like, oh, why are you doing that? I was like, first of all, I'm providing a service because I get to talk to awesome people like you. They just drop science on me like, boom, science, like science bombs. And I'm just the benefactor of that, as well as the Billionaire Lifestyle audience. And the Billionaire Lifestyle audience is really not about money. It's like what you really went through. You searched and you're like, all this stuff is really not for me. And then you found out what resonates with your heart, what makes you sing. And I see your face when you said, I'd love to speak. I was like, you're about to like having a joygasm bomb go off in yourself.
Totally.
And I understand too. Are you a Toastmaster, by the way?
I'm not.
Shame on you.
No.
How dare you?
You know what? I was in a very small town and I'd never been to one before and I was still the best speaker. Like I walked in the door and I'm like, I'm not going to get anything here. So I ended up not. What I loved was how organized it was. It has a workbook and now that I love this.
It does give you it does give you the foundation if you are speaking, and it gives you those things, your crutches that people go, ooh, it helps you to get rid of those. But I was checking you, my man, my.
But you know what? I am so glad you said that because I am looking to do kind of a different style of speaking going forward, and that would be a great place to get it. So thank you. That's a huge gift for me. I'd forgotten.
Actually, and we're segueing a little bit here, but Toastmasters has changed their whole format. So now they're online and they have these modules that you have to go through and they're so different and they're so much more involved. They even have podcasting in there.
Sweet.
Yes. So that's
all right,
for you.
I will check it out. Tell them you sent me.
What is the number one tip? The number one tip you give people who are looking to grow their business.
Focus on client generation.
That's not easy for people because, and this is what I talked to a young lady the other day, and she's a new coach. Young lady, she's been through some things in her life, so she has a wealth to pull from already. She just got to wrap it up into a ball. And I said, do you even know who your perfect client is? And she was like, what's that? I was like, write this down. Mm-hmm. That's what we have to do. And when I think about the Billionaire Lifestyle audience, I think about people who are having a consciousness shift. They're in one place and they're looking to be who they want to be all that they can be. And the various guests that I have on the show help facilitate that because somebody is going to resonate with you. Somebody's going to resonate with me out of your audience and out of my audience. They're going to find each other. And that's the whole premise. And besides, I know there's so many podcasts out there, but sometimes it's really hard to get on them and it's hard to promote yourself. And I am a staunch believer in shameless self-promotion.
Yay! I totally agree. And one of the problems, and especially in the coaching industry, I have a deep, deep love for the coaching industry, and I have a fundamental disagreement with them as well. Well, and this is okay. I have lots of conversations with the organizations around coaching, but I love it because it's all about creating change.
Yes.
And I have an issue with it because they are terrified of being seen as business people. Now, a lot of coaches are internal coaches. They are terrified of being seen as pushy or salesy, which actually isn't that, it's not that unusual for new entrepreneurs, right? Coaches really aren't that different, but just as almost like a culture, they have a problem with self-promotion. So one of the things that's very important to me, anytime I speak to a coaching group, which is pretty often, I say, I'm going to promote myself so that you can see an example of how it can be done without like selling every 3 minutes and it being all about me.
Yeah.
It's about service. And honestly, if I want to serve you at the highest level, you're going to have to work with me. That's the only way to do it. Having a conversation like this, I'm going to serve at this level, and that's great. I'm super excited about it. And any audience I get, I'm going to serve them for an hour. But if I really want to serve at the highest level, like I am called to do, we are going to have to work together. And so I have to be more committed to those people in the audience who are ready for it, that 5%, than I am to the 95% who aren't. And that's a hard thing to wrap your mind around. Yeah,
that's true. And you don't need to serve everybody. You just need to serve who you need to serve.
No, exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the reasons why coaches and new entrepreneurs in general can get very stuck on this idea of client generation is because there's so much bullshit out there. I mean,
say that again. Say that again. Say it.
There is so much bullshit out there. And a lot of the people in this space of helping people grow their businesses, they complicate the hell out of it. And I'm fortunate in my life that I had an experience that uncomplicated things without my consent.
Right.
I got sick. I had to figure out the easiest way to do things. And from that, what I created is about simplicity. You don't need 82 lessons on how to define your ideal client. You don't need 42 modules of sales training.
Yep.
Like I boil it down. You bring your brilliance to the table. You put it into practice with these 6 simple things, and you can move forward. So that's the issue I have in my industry, if you will, is it just make it sound so complicated, and it doesn't have to be.
So where's the book? Everybody has a book in them.
Do you want me to go get it? I have one sitting over there.
I like how you're looking up. You're like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia look.
Shelf. It's on my shelf, sitting right there.
You did
want me to go get it?
You did the Always Sunny in Philadelphia look.
Is that what I did? So do you mean my book or my favorite book?
So what's your favorite book?
I was just quoting it earlier today, so I will pull it out right here. The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale.
Oh.
A classic. And he's got one of my favorite quotes in it. It's again about conformity. It says, the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity.
Oh. And that's so poignant that you say that, because we are in conformist nation. I hate to say it, but social media makes everybody conform to a certain degree. It changes frequently, but they still conform.
Yeah.
And I used to be a DJ, and one of the reasons I got out of DJing is because everything sounded alike to me. There was no variety. There was no challenge in me mixing the music anymore. I literally could make a playlist on a computer, and people thought I was doing something. I just moved my hands a little bit. And people were like, you're great. I'm like, you're listening to a playlist. You don't even know this. That was later in, because I came from Detroit. I was like a house DJ, like mix and mashup, but it changed so much that it got so similar that it just took the joy out of it. And that's one thing about life. When the joy goes, time for you to go too.
And you never know who's experiencing that joy. I mean, if you're in the business of helping people move forward in their lives, you can look at people who look really successful, and they
I can say it for
They're
you.
not feeling the joy.
And they're a hot mess.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there are the people that are full of shit, of course. Then there's the people who are a hot mess behind it all. And then there's people who are just deeply wanting to find something else. I mean, I have a client, he is the former CFO of Microsoft North America. He walked away from an enormous salary because he needed deeper meaning.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I have a client who today walked away from a very healthy, more than six-figure business because she was so unhappy, and we helped her leap to her next chapter. And it was just like, I was on the Stairmaster watching her live video as she announced it right before this. Actually, right before this, I was doing that. I was just so excited, crying. So it's amazing.
You've literally just explained the billionaire lifestyle. You know, you have to.
You're welcome.
You have to find out what resonates with you. And here's what's really weird is because we're still in this 20th century mode where you do something for your life. We're different people at different stages of our life. And for us to do one thing is counterproductive to being a, listen to this, human being. People of color, we're all people of color. You got a color, I got a color. We're made in the image of man, and we're having an experience, hence the human being. So, billionaire lifestyle audience, listen to that. It's never too late. Find your joy, find your passion. Plan it out, though. Don't just jump willy-nilly into things. Put some thought into it.
Dude, no, don't do that. That is so stressful. I watch people say, I'll leap and the net will appear. And it's like, save some money.
Say it.
Save some money. Learn how to get clients. It doesn't have to be as complicated, and it is not as fake or pushy as you think it is. And if you're learning from someone who you feel like it is fake or pushy, then find another teacher. Really understand your values. I'm looking at my computer right now, and my values I'm literally in alignment with my values every minute I'm working. Freedom, impact, variety. Those are my values.
Awesome.
Critically important.
All right. So you've talked about your book, your favorite book,
yes.
The book, not the Always Sunny in Philadelphia look. You've talked about the strategy, which is, you have to have clients to have a business. So they're not going to magically fall out of the tree of life and into your lap.
No.
You have to go find them.
They will not.
And sometimes you have to convert them.
Yes.
You have to tell them, you need me.
Yeah. You mean they won't just offer you the amount of money you'd like to be paid and hand you a check or credit card without you saying anything? What?
Of course, they do that to you all the time.
All the time. When you're really good.
All right. So how can people contact you?
You're welcome to go to my website, which is marycravets.com. And actually, the very best resource I can offer, though, is I do webinars that are about client generation, and it's called More Clients, Less Marketing. I do them on a consistent basis. And they can go to simplygetclients.com, and you'll see when the next time it's running. And that's pretty much all the time.
What about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, that stuff?
It's all Mary Cravets all the time. I'm going to probably be rebranding. So Twitter is Mary Cravets, LinkedIn, and I don't even know what the URL. It's some long ass one, but I'm the only Mary Cravets out there. So
that's
yay for me.
Cravets. S.
Thank you.
Cravets.
Yes. This is Sam. And
because I was thinking it was Cravets, like Lenny.
Or Lenny, my cousin.
You look just alike. It's DNA's right there.
Totally.
All right. So here's the exercise, my dear. You have to close your eyes.
Okay.
So you're sitting on your couch or you're sitting in your backyard and you're just chilling. Nobody's home. You don't have to worry. You're like, I got a moment. You're like, the internet's down. My phone fell in the water. Nobody can reach me. And then you hear the doorbell ring. You're like, and you get up and you walk over to the door and you open the door And there sits 19-year-old you. And you're laughing. And she looks you directly in the eye with this stern look of kind of like sternness and love and says, I'm going to get to be you someday. What is the one thing you can tell me to help me navigate that?
Be gentle with yourself.
Good. That's awesome.
That 19-year-old did not have an easy time of it.
That's good.
Yeah, be gentle with yourself. That I worked with an 85-year-old mentor, and she said, honey, she was from the South, honey, if I only teach you one thing, it would be to be gentle with yourself.
You know, and that's a good one. I'm guilty of it. I am hard on myself. And I'm hard on myself.
Me too.
Because sometimes the world can be hard. And you have to build up some armor so that you can be sustainable. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast.
Thank you. I've had so much fun, and this conversation is not even close to over.
Sweet. Love it, love it, love it. So here's how I end the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it. When you get out the shower, when you get out the bathtub, you're going to be alone unless you have one of those sexual encounters. You're going to be alone.
What appropriate.
It's my show. What the heck? Stop laughing. This is serious. You're going to be in the bathroom. It's getting worse. You're going to get out the shower. You're going to dry the water off your body. And I'm going to look at you. And in that moment, drop the towel, wipe the fog off the mirror, because this is really critical, super critical. I need you to get up to the mirror to where you can see you. And what I need you to do is study that image in the mirror. I want you to just spend some time with you, because you spend time with everybody else, but you never spend time with you. And I want you to take in like the big nose and the crooked lips and eyebrows and the bald head or the gray hair, whatever you have, it's you. And I want you to realize that after those two cells met and they came together, 30 days later, you were a billionaire because there were a billion cells 30 days later. And it just compounded after that. So right now, it's infinite. And I just have the billionaire lifestyle because that's our foundation. And I want you to get close to the mirror, and I want you to now look at your eyes. I want you to look at that canal that brings air, which is life, into your body. And either side of that canal are two things that are as above, so below. So below, you know. And those are like galaxies, just like above. And I want you to respect that. It may be a different color, maybe gray, maybe green, maybe blue, maybe brown. They're all the same, but they're unique. When you go into the world, now that you understand that you should love yourself, that you have to love yourself because that's the only way you can move forward healthily. When you see someone with those galaxies, they may only have one, but show them that love and respect that you want for yourself. Until next time,